To the one and only
Hi there, welcome to Boxing Deep Dive. I'm Lyndon Hosking. I'm here with my good mate Grant Tazzie Brown. Tazzie, welcome to 2022.
Good to be back, Lyndon. I missed it a bit while we were on holidays.
I did too, mate. I really look forward to the Thursday shows because I love talking all things boxing with you guys. Obviously, we're without Peter Mattias tonight. Peter's got better things to do, so it's just you and I. But that means, of course, there's no quiz.
Well, I heard that he had a big Christmas, New Year's, and he's actually dodging the quiz. So, Peter, I'm here ready for you, mate. I win tonight by default. I've got your number. I'm better than you in all attributes of boxing quiz. You're good, but I'm better. Come back, mate. Let's do it.
Well, you are the undisputed champion, mate, because of the last episode I remember you absolutely wiped the clean with him.
He's good, but I'm the best there is.
You're the reigning champ, mate. So, so we'll obviously have to cut that out tonight. But look, a lot going on in the world, mate. I know it's only early January or mid-January, but still a little bit to go over the Aussie news. What we'll do first is we'll go over the last couple of fights or events of 2021, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what's happening. And I suppose the first thing to talk about is Liam Parrot, who ended the year with a great victory in America. I'll spit that out against Yoma Alamo with a split decision over 10 rounds. Actually got off the floor in the first round to win a decision. So full credit to him, mate. And bigger news is he's joined Matchroom Boxing as well to put the cherry on top.
Yeah, it's huge, mate. He's with Matchroom Eddie Hearn now, another Aussie. Look, mate, he fought on a massive show. I mean, the Jake Paul undercard, which obviously, they get massive views, and it was a big show. So, done a good job. He got up off the floor. And, mate, look, very happy for him. He's, he's done the hard yards, and he's over there doing what he can, mate. So, look forward to the future for Liam Parrot.
Yeah, no, he's a good kid, and he can obviously fight, and congratulations on also his promoter Angelo DiCarlo. Ace Boxing has done great things with him and Dempsey. He's got them both signed with Matchroom. So
well, he's had him the whole time, mate.
Yep.
He's spent whatever God knows how much to bring him along and to get him where they are, mate. So Angelo DiCarlo deserves a big pat on the back for the work he's done with Liam and Dempsey. Yeah,
and I really like the fact that he hasn't held them to ransom or anything like that. He's invested in them heavily. Obviously, he just wants what's best for his fighters. He's invested in them and got them to where they are now, and he's happily handing off to Eddie Hearn. And full credit to him and the team doing really good things. So big things for Matchroom as well, and obviously Sky Nicholson signed as well. So even bigger things happening in regards to Aussies. And Matchroom.
She'll be a world champion, mate. Sky, no doubt in my mind. Now she's with Matchroom, and if she's in England getting good sparring, good fights, she'll be a world champion, and I'm going to predict in the first probably 5 or 6 fights.
Yeah, well, Eddie Hearn obviously got Ebony Bridges a world title fight, I think, after 4 or 5 fights. So if anyone can do it, mate, our man Eddie Hearn can. He is the man of boxing, and Matchroom, obviously the biggest promotional company in the world at the moment.
I just hope Sky doesn't start dressing like Ebony at the weigh-in, though.
She's probably got the body for it, but we won't go there. All right, mate, let's go on to the other things. At the end of the year shows, one of the events was our man Andy the Monster Maloney. He had a really good win. I think it was Christmas week, so it would have been really hard for him to get up for that. Obviously, he's got a lot going on with the kids and everything else at that time of year, but look, it was a really workmanlike performance and solid, and he just did everything he had to get the win.
I reckon Andrew looked great, mate. He controlled the fight from round one. He fought great in close. He went to the body, a good range of punches. And like Jeff Fennick was saying in the commentary, the guy was a very good opponent. He fought for 3 world titles. And, Andrew had to be careful early. But I thought it was a really good performance by Andrew.
Yeah, it was solid, and that guy was tough. Obviously, he fought for world titles in the past, but he was, as most Filipinos are, mate. They are as tough as they come, and he gave Andy all he could handle as well. Don't worry about that. But I loved his inside work, and the fact that unfortunately there wasn't a lot of people there. You could actually really hear the inside work of Andy in close, and you can put them together in close. Those rips and hooks to the body were brutal.
Yeah, look, mate, they're still two of the most elite fighters in the country. Him and Jason, They do everything well. They train hard. They work on their craft, and they're both just really good all round balanced fighters. Like, they box, they can fight. They both got great left jabs. They both go to the body. Just very good all round fighters, both the Maloney boys.
Yeah, they are. And what I really like about the performance too from Andy, similar to Jason when he had come off the Anui loss and beat Joshua Greer. Andy's had 3 obviously really tough fights with Franco, and some obviously disappointing fights results in there as well. The second fight, and that third fight was really brutal, as was the first one. So it was a really credit to him that he picked himself up, dusted himself off, and went back to the basics, I suppose. Went back to the gym and worked on some things, and obviously put it all on together on the night. And there's obviously talk now that he's got the Japanese champion in his sights. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Apologies, but hopefully he gets that fight this year for the IBF title, I think it is.
Yeah, let's hope so, mate. Let's hope they both win world titles in 2022.
Yeah, I've got no doubt they'll both get opportunities. Then obviously the rest is up to them. I just want to note another fight on that card, mate. It was a brilliant card, by the way. It was a shame that the crowd there wasn't overly great, but the TV audience would have been massive with not much going on Christmas week. But it was Peter Maniatis' boy, Farris Chevalier, put in a really good performance for the second time for the year to beat Renard Quinlan, and he's going to put himself in line for some bigger fights as well.
Yeah, he's a good boxer, mate. I mean, he's only had the 2 fights in 5 years, mate, but he's, it'd be scary to think if he was really active and how good he can be, because he's a very, very accomplished fighter.
Yeah, he is, and I mean, having 2 fights in 2021, it wasn't the end of the world, because a lot of fighters only had 1, if any, more than anything. So the fact that he had 2, the win earlier in the year against Blake Caparello was very impressive, considering he'd been out so long. And we're going to talk about the pound for pound Aussie rankings at the end of this segment, but he's definitely putting himself in line for bigger fights, and obviously I'm sure our man Peter Maniatis will give him every chance. So I'm expecting bigger things from him. The other event from the same week, and probably the less said about the event, the better, was the Paul Gallen Darcy Lusick, I think that's how I pronounce it, fight. Tazzie, I don't know about you, mate, but that, I think the less said about that whole show, the better. I'm not having a go at No Limit here, because they've got to do what they've got to do, and it's about earning money and everything else. But that show, mate, was deplorable. It really was.
Yeah, but like I said in the past...
I'm talking about the footy fights, by the way. Not Harry Garside, he was very impressive. Yeah, and I think Sam Goodman was as well. But the footy fights, mate, oh my.
Look, Gallen's a legit fighter. Gallen's a proper boxer. The other guys on the show, I don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
The other rugby players. But look, it's about Australia public and the media. That's what Gallen said. Who was there the night before with the real fighters?
Yeah.
So it's not about that. They don't get behind the real fighters. They weren't there the night before, 100-odd people, and Gallen actually split his $20,000 bonus with Garside and that other young bloke,
Sam Goodman.
Yeah, so Gallen's a ripper. I mean, he's a legend, and it's up to the people, Lyndon. If people don't want to go support the fighters, but they want to pay the footy players, that just shows what dickheads Australians are. And I think lately I think Australia's the biggest dickhead country in the world, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I've got this in the talking points a little bit later on to discuss this a little bit more in
I'm
total.
ashamed to be Australian.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. But look, I think in this, again, I'm not having a crack at No Limit because it obviously works. If they've got a model that works and it makes money, then hey, good luck to you. At the end of the day, they're not doing this for for nothing. They're doing it as their profession. So good luck to No Limit. People buy it, like you said. So that's great. Paul Gallen, I think he's an absolute legend for what he does. He was. I think he almost was a little bit embarrassed about this fight himself. That Darcy Lucy.
Yeah.
To be absolutely, I know he's a late replacement, by the way, but as I said, I think in one of our episodes towards the end of the year, they could have maybe merged the two events to create one big, impressive pay-per-view. But this guy, mate, he had one fight, and it was a 30-second knockout of another rugby player. But the fact that it was a 3-2-minute round fight, he was absolutely exhausted after one round, so 2 minutes, and all he did was hang on for dear life for the next 2 rounds to put the hand out for $50 or $60, whatever it was, to watch that crap, mate. I'm with you. I don't know where we're going in this country as far as boxing goes. I understand the way it works, but
I'm going to say something in my rant later, but I mean, look, if people want to pay it, it's up to them.
Yeah.
I don't believe in moaning after you pay it. If you want to pay it, pay it. If
there's obviously a market there.
But like Gallen said, there was no one there the night before when you got a former world champion, Angel Maloney, fighting.
Yep.
So it just showed boxing is not that popular. I don't give a... That's why Gamboa's is not going to get 80,000.
Well...
It's not on him.
Yep.
It's Australian public. In the media, boxing is not popular in Australia.
No. Well, I've got
There's
that.
There's about 100-something fighters in the whole country.
Yeah.
Of how many million do we have? I mean...
25
boxing's
million.
not popular in Australia. I don't give a fuck what anyone says.
Yeah, well, I've got that in the talking points as well. But yeah, it's just frustrating. As I said, like, I understand there's a market for it, and there's people more than willing to pay the money, and that's great. But as a boxing, as you are, boxing fan / involved in different ways, it doesn't mean I have to like it. I'm sorry, I don't have to like it. I think it's
100%.
crap and bullshit. So enough. We've probably spent too much time on it already. Let's move on. I hope the Rose Boys made a shitload of money at it. That's all I'm going to say, because good luck to them.
100%.
They're doing great things for boxing. It's just that event. Anyway, on to the next one. This is another big talking point. It's Isaac Hardman, Michael Zarafa. And I know Michael's probably going to be pissed off about that poster that's not the other way around, but it's been signed April 6th in Melbourne. Shout out to our man Steve Dilks at SAA Imaging for that poster, by the way. I think he's done an awesome job on that. But, Tazzie, they're talking about this fight being at the Melbourne Pavilion. Surely not. Surely.
I don't know. Is it or?
I hope not. I've heard some rumours that it's going to be the Melbourne Pavilion. I sure as hope not. I would. This again goes to our point of where boxing is at in Australia. That if this fight's in front of 1,500 people at the Melbourne Pavilion, then we may as well throw it in.
Yeah, look, you think it'd build up to be a bit of a maybe a small stadium fight. It's a pretty big fight.
It's bigger than the Melbourne Pavilion, and the Melbourne Pavilion's a great location. Don't get me wrong, but it's more for those more for those club fight sort of shows. This, I know it's not a massive fight in the scheme of things, but it's big for Aussie boxing. I would love to see it in a 4,000 or 5,000 seat arena, and there's a couple of those in that precinct. But look, I hope I'm wrong. I've only heard just whispers that it might be at the Melbourne Pavilion. If it's there, well, good luck to them, I suppose. But I would really hope that this fight. And there is an Instagram page getting around that's based on Hardman versus Zarafa. I don't know who's behind it, but doing everything they can to pump this up. There's about 30 posts a day trying to get a bit of momentum about this. So it's good to have those guys out there that are trying to get it going. I don't know who he is, but anyway. But mate, do you reckon it's a 3, 4, 5,000 seat event, isn't it? Surely, at least 3 or 4.
You'd hope so, Linda. But you know what, mate? Nothing surprised me anymore in this life, whether it's boxing or anything, given what's going on with COVID and the way people are reacting, and nothing surprised me anymore.
Yeah, well,
I just went to Coles and couldn't buy a watermelon because everyone's panic buying.
Yeah,
so,
I know. That's another...
Aussies, I tell you now, 90% of Australia are idiots.
It certainly looks that way, mate. Well,
They're
hopefully...
not full Australian, full Aussie, absolute morons. 90%.
Yeah, I tend to agree, mate. But this fight, I just hope it gets a bit of momentum, a bit of traction behind it with the media. I doubt it. If Kambosos couldn't get publicity, I doubt this is going to do it, unless there's a punch up at the weigh-in or whatever. But I just hopefully this gets a bit more momentum. And I mean, it deserves to be good. I know the hardcore Aussie boxing fans will love it and they'll tune in. But this fight deserves to be. This probably could even be a pay-per-view. I don't think it's going to be, but although it is a Wednesday night, so maybe it is going to be a pay-per-view. But I would pay $40 or $50 for it, no problem.
Yeah, look, mate, I wish them all the best, mate. Anyone that's doing anything in boxing,
Yep.
you know, I wish them all the best. That's you know, hopefully they get paid well and may the best man win.
Yep, exactly, mate. And so, yeah, hopefully the promoters, which I think is Team LaBruna with D&L, I think, are involved as well. We'll put on a great event. But either way, I'll be watching no matter where it is. So another one that was just announced officially today, mate, is Barry Hall and Sonny Bill Williams. Now, I must admit, I've just had my say about the footy fighter aspect. I see this one a little bit differently in that both of them are sort of boxers, I suppose you would say. Would you say that? Barry Hall's obviously had a long, well, you know, not a career in boxing, but has been doing boxing for a long time and actually, in my opinion, beat Paul Gallen. Sonny Bill Williams has had, I think, 12 fights, is it? Or 8, 9, 10 fights? Do you see this a little bit different to the footy fights, or do you think it's just thrown in the same mix?
No, I see it, dear. I knew about this a month ago, this fight. Look, it looks a bit different. I mean, Sonny Bill fought Francis Bofo, an ex-world champ. I mean, ex-heavyweight that fought Tyson. I mean, Barry Hall, you know, can box. This is a bit different to your average footy. You know, yeah, this is a 50-50 fight. I think Danny Green's probably promoting it, I've heard.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Along with Coda Nusser. And they'll obviously be a good undercard because there'll be money involved. So it'll give Aussies the chance to fight the undercard. I think it's a bit different to these other ones. And this is quite okay.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. As I said, I don't sort of see these guys as just footy players fighting. I actually see them both as boxers who have just had a footy background. I think it'll be a massive pay-per-view event. I'm not sure whether the twins will be on the card. They might have other things to on the plate, but I just think, like you said, there'll be a massive undercard. It'll obviously be a pay-per-view, so there'll be ample opportunities to get out there. So yeah, and they'll to put on a good undercard financial wise. So yeah, so I think they're talking about March in Melbourne. Is that right, or have I got that wrong?
I heard Sydney.
Sydney. Okay, yeah, you're right. I didn't actually catch that, but I know it's March. So yeah, so looking forward to that one. I think that'll be a good scrap. Maybe the winner will fight Paul Gallen. So that would be good.
You probably think so, yeah.
Right, mate. One more thing before we get to our guests for tonight. Did we actually mention we had Billy Dib on, mate? I'm not sure that we did.
No, I don't think so, mate.
Oh, sorry. We're in a bit of a huff with everything. We had a few technical issues, but yeah, so we'll get to Billy in a minute. But before that, one more thing is Joel Kmikeo is now not only a boxer and influencer and everything else, he's also a promoter.
He just hit 10,000 followers on Instagram,
Is that right?
So, which is a great accomplishment. Mate, he's promoting, mate. Good on him. I've done this. I've, back in the day, promoted and fought on the same show, so I know how stressful it is. And I never had a petty money artist help me either. I had to do it myself. So, mate, good luck to him, mate. I know a few boys that are on the show, and he's giving a few guys an opportunity. So, yeah, why not?
Yeah, no, good on him. You know, I think he said he's always wanted to have a crack at it. The only advice I'll give him is you know more than anything, mate, it's a lot harder doing it than watching other people do it, if that makes sense. You know, it's easier. Sometimes it looks easier than what it is. And I take my hat off to him. He's training for a fight and trying to organise well. Not as much as your effort, mate, where you weren't even in the building when the show was going on. But either way, I take my hat off to both of you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, look, mate, it's hard enough to fight, little name promoter and fight and matchmaking. But as I said, mate, I'm happy for him, and I hope it's a good event, mate. I hope they make a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, I don't know much about the opponent, but I think Joel, even himself, has said that, look, he's just on the rebuilding phase at the moment. He jumped straight in the ring for a win after losing against Koen Mazudia. I think I got that right, Kozan Mazudia. So I think from what I've heard is that he'll have this fight and then wants the rematch after that. So we'll see what happens there. So good luck to Joel. The last thing, mate, as we just discussed, is your man, Billy Dib, has got the big fight against Jacob NG on March 19. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, mate, Billy's a very dear friend of mine. I've known him since he was an amateur. I've trained alongside him, sparred him. He's coached by my dear brother, Billy Hussein. Yeah, Billy's a very dear friend of mine. And mate, look, he's been a IBF world champion, IBA world champion. He's fought, Floyd Mayweather's undercard. He fought on Bernard Hopkins undercard. He's fought main event of Dubai against Amir Khan. Billy's done it all. He's fought in Japan against a top world champion, and he believes he's still got enough left, and I believe he does too, to beat a very good young up and comer, undefeated Aussie. So this is a good fight, mate. Very good fight.
Yeah, and we caught up with him a little bit earlier. Obviously, we'll put the interview on in a second, but I've just got to say too, hats off to Ace Boxing who are putting on the show, because they've done some really good things during the whole COVID pandemic. They don't probably get as much credit as they do because they're not on mainstream TV, but really good effort. I watched the last fight that Anzo did at the end of last year with Masson and who was it? Masson and Flanagan, which was a great fight, and it's good that he's backed it up with this one, which will be an absolute ripper. So, mate, let's go to our interview. As I said, I caught up with Billy a little bit earlier, and we had a chat to him about the upcoming fight with Jacob NG. Billy Dib, welcome to Boxing Deep Dive.
How you doing, guys? How's things?
Really good, mate. Great to have you on. We've a lot going on at the start of this year. You've obviously got a big fight March 19th against Jacob NG. You must be very excited to be back in the ring headlining a big Aussie show.
Mate, definitely super excited and looking forward to getting out there and just putting on a fantastic performance. As you know, Jacob NG is world rated. Number 4 with the WBO, I think number 8 with the IBF, so it's a massive opportunity for me to find myself in the world ratings and on the verge of another big opportunity, so I'm definitely super excited about it.
Yeah, sounds awesome, mate. And Tazzie, you're a good friend of Billy. I'm sure you got a couple of questions there for him.
Yeah, Billy's like a brother, mate. I've known him his whole life and massive supporter of his career, and I was there when he won the world title. It was still one of the best memories I've had in boxing, and Bill, like I said to Lyndon, you're still currently one of the most credentialed fighters Australia has. Like, you're a former 2-time world champion. You fought on Mayweather undercards, Hopkins undercards. You've been at the biggest. You fought Amir Khan in Dubai. How is it the hunger still to put in the effort of the hard training which you've been doing for your whole life?
Yeah, I guess, look, for me, it's just I'm still hungry. You know what I mean? I love the success. You know what I mean? I love the drive. I love the I love the feeling of getting up and running and all that sort of stuff. And I guess once that day comes where I don't feel like running anymore and I don't feel like training, then that's the day that I got to walk away from the sport, because I'm not going to be anybody's punching bag. You know what I mean? So right now I still feel good. I feel fast. I feel strong. I'm fit. I'm doing my work. I have no issues at all. I love the sport of boxing, and I just want to get out there and just put on a spectacular event against Jacob NG. You know what I mean? It's like this fights like this really get me to get up. You know what I mean? Like, it's an opportunity to beat a world-class lightweight, and I'm pumped for it.
What do you see in Jacob NG, Billy? What do you see his strengths and his weaknesses when you get in the ring with him?
I mean, look, he's just an all-round good fighter, I guess. He's an all-round good fighter. He's an exciting fighter. He really, he puts his balls on the line, you could say, when he fights. He gets knocked down, he gets back up. He's an excitement machine, you know what I mean? But obviously, in regards to his flaws, I just feel like, when it comes to skill set, I've got too much skills for him, you know what I mean? He's just your typical brawler, fighter, you know what I mean? He doesn't even use his assets too well, you know what I mean? He's got great assets, like he's got a good jab, he's got long assets, but he's not using them. So I'm going to, obviously look to exploit that. That's what I'm going to be doing. And I know that, me and Jacob are going to go head to head, you know what I mean? He knows that I'm coming for him, and he's going to come for me, and it's going to be all out war, you know what I mean? That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, Bill, I believe that your experience are going to play a massive part in this. The fact you're going to take him places he's never been. I mean, he's never fought anyone of your caliber, and I really know what you're like when you turn it on, and especially with a good training camp with our brother Billy Hussein. And I believe that we're going to probably see some of the best. You know, like when you fought the Mexican in Tasmania, like that sort of you know, that's. I mean, you can do either. You can box or fight. A lot of people think of you just as a boxer, but I've seen you turn into a Mexican in Tasmania.
No. Yeah, look, I'm definitely gonna bring this. This is the type of fight that brings the best out of me, and I'm gonna really bring my A game against Jacob NG, and I'm gonna work on angles, speed. I'm gonna work on power. I'm gonna work on walking him down, you know, pinning him in the corners, pinning him on the ropes, and just fighting my fight. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not worried about anything that he can do. I'm worried about what I can do and just getting out there and doing the best thing that I can do, and that's put on a spectacular performance and get the W.
Billy, I know all the action's going to be in the ring, but I'm actually looking forward to who's going to have the best entrance and into the ring. Who's going to win that one?
I'm not really worried about any of that, to be honest with you. I know he does that whole dancing thing when he's walking in the ring and that. Yeah. That's cool. That's entertainment.
You've been known to have some good walkouts as well, though.
Yeah. Look, but it's gonna be business for me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't even know who's gonna walk out first. You know what I mean? We're gonna have to toss a coin out of that because I'm not gonna be walking out first. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to work that out. It's either gonna be a toss of a coin, or paper scissors rock 3 times. Whoever wins walks out first. You know what I mean? Or loses walks out first. But for me, I don't care. All I care about is both of us are gonna be in the ring. We're gonna be facing each other. There's gonna be one referee. There's going to be, the judges around the ring, and at the end of the day, the audience is going to be there, and they're going to see who's going to be victorious.
Good stuff. You got another one for Billy there, Tazzie?
I'm just very, very happy you got this chance to sort of ignite that fire in you, Bill, again, that you've got a good young fighter, and that you've got that sort of motivation, and I'm really happy that you've got the opportunity to still show the world what Billy Dib has got. You know what I mean? You're still an elite fighter, mate, and I believe once you beat this guy, you can still get another shot of the world title because you've got the resume, you've got the credentials.
That's definitely the plan, Tazzie. You know what I mean? Just to, one step at a time, one fight at a time, and you know what? I'm just going to go out there, do what I got to do, and make sure that I'm leaving no stone unturned in my preparation. And I know that once I get in the ring, it's going to really show, and I'm going to go out there and put on a devastating performance and get that W.
Billy, awesome. Obviously, COVID's played a major part in a lot of things going on in the world at the moment, especially in boxing. But do you think that we've discussed it a little bit? Do you think it's actually a little bit of a positive when it comes to boxing in Australia that we are getting these types of matchups? Because this might not have happened if COVID wasn't in place.
Definitely. That's what it's all about. It's all about the matchups, and COVID's done that. You know, I mean, COVID's allowed these matchups to happen.
One more for Billy there, Tazzie.
No, like just how's the feel back in the body punch gym? What Billy is saying, and all the crew, mate. Your brother Yusuf, who's a future star. How is it all now? Now we're back down to business, mate.
Mate, it feels great. I mean, we're just so happy to be back in the gym and back to business. I mean, it's fantastic to be around the team and family, and I'm really, really excited about the future. It ain't over for me. And many people have thought that I've been over it many, many times, but I've always found my way to resurrect myself and put myself in another position for another big opportunity. So this is just another chance for me to do that.
Yeah, well, I'll be coming up with you boys for this one, Bill. Like we spoke the other night, I'm keen to be there and support you.
For sure. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate the support and the love of sport. It's awesome.
No worries, Billy. Really pleased to have you. I'm sorry about the technical issues that we've had during the interviews. There's been a bit going on, but really appreciate you taking time out, and mate, we can't wait for March 19th for the big fight.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, man. Take care of yourselves. God bless.
Thanks, Billy.
Let's go, BTK.
So there it is, Billy Dib. What a great man. Tazzie's very, very humble, isn't he? For everything that he's done, he's just so well spoken and articulate and respectful.
Man, Billy's great. As I said, I go back to when he was an amateur. I remember he remembers this conversation. I think 2003, he won the national gold medal in Hobart at the Nationals, and he was a bit down on himself that he won, but he didn't sort of fight the way he should have fought. And I said, mate, don't beat yourself too hard. You just won gold. Move on now. I said, but, don't sort of be down on yourself. And, mate, look, the guy's done a lot in the sport, mate. A legit world champion.
Yep.
Fought some very big names. And, like, he knows the pinnacle of Mayweather. You know, knows who he is. 50 Cent. He was managed by them guys. You know, he was with Shane Ozzy for a while. Billy's probably got the best. His phone book of boxing champions. He's got them all, mate. He's got all the contacts, and he's guiding the career of his young brother Yusuf Dib, who's a very good boxer, undefeated. He's fighting, I think, in a couple of months, and mate, look, yeah, he's just an all-round great guy. I've sparred him and shared the ring with him when he was still probably at his best, and very fast hands, mate, and very Prince Nazim Hamid-like, but he can change. Lately, he's adopted a more aggressive style, and he's fighting a little bit more like probably hussy and skinny now.
I'm glad he's gone back to achievable weight as well. I mean, he fought Khan at, I think, welterweight, wasn't it? So way
that was I mean, I knew a lot about that. I mean, it was in the first ever, I think, big show in Dubai. Amir Khan, Billy was on the undercard, and then Amir Khan's opponent pulled out. So they thought, they want to save it. Offered decent money, and he jumped up a lot of weights and fought an ex-bloody legend in Amir Khan, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it was definitely no disrespect losing to him there,
No, exactly. All right, well, we'll move on. Before we get on to just a couple of bits with world news, I want to just go over the pound-for-pound Aussie rankings, mate. Now, what I'm going to do is I've had a little bit of a rework of things. I just want to get your feedback on what you think. Peter's going to be obviously very happy because I've managed to sneak Farris Chevalier in the number 10. I was a little bit hesitant about it. You can see that the top 5 hasn't changed. Actually, I don't think the top 6. You can see there I've snuck Dempsey McKean in as well. I had a little bit more of a look at it. What do you think? Have I jumped the gun here a bit, or is that about right, do you think?
So I see you've got Brock Jarvis out of there, Michael's Raffer out of there, and Liam Wilson out of there.
No, Liam Wilson went out last time, I think. But it was more down to, I think it was Brock Jarvis out and Michael Zarafa out. Look, I think, and I'm a big fan of Zarafa, but I just think that last fight almost lost him points in my eyes, if I'm going to be honest. Where I really, Farris Chevalier had the second fight. I know Ronald Quillen obviously hadn't been on a massive win streak or anything, but he's still a very accomplished fighter. I thought the 2 performances for the year, as I said earlier, not a lot of fighters have had 2 fights in a year, and I thought he put them together really well. Dempsey McKean, that was probably a little bit me being a bit naive to what he's done. I know he hasn't been a world beater or anything, but he's got a pretty solid early start to his career. Obviously had the last fight in America in December, but I just think his body work might just be a little bit above Brock at this stage. I've got no doubt Brock's probably going to be a top 5 pound for pound at some stage, but just at the moment, I just took him out and put Dempsey McKean in. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, it's all about activity. Not many people have been active. Dempsey's over there fighting, on the big stage. So is Liam. So got no problems with them. Isaac's been the busiest guy in Australia.
Yeah.
If Rafa beats Isaac, then Rafa takes his spot.
Definitely, yeah.
Farris, got no problem there.
And I think the winner of Billy Dib and Dakem NG, he's probably got some sort of right to maybe put the hand up as well. What do you think?
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Yep, definitely. And I'm sure Liam Wilson, when he's back fighting regularly, and I'll tell you now, mate, just as a roughie, another female that could have made it. Beck Hawker had a big year this year.
Yeah, no, definitely.
She won about 3 belts this year. So, but look, mate, I've got no problem with that. Lyndon, that's pretty good, mate.
Look, it's open to interpretation. And, the thing is, you mentioned Liam Wilson there. I think Liam Wilson is in the top 10 as far as the best fighters we have in Australia. I think Liam Wilson's in the top 10.
Yeah.
But he lost his last fight pretty badly. He was stopped. I've got no doubt, like you, that he'll rebuild, and I've got no doubt that he is in the top 10 overall of ability-wise being in there. But he lost the last fight. But as I said, Dempsey McKean and Farris Chevalier come in for Brock Jarvis and Michael Zarafa. But
I know a lot of people probably think you'd have Justin Swinney in there. I don't think so yet. But I mean,
I think
probably would, but yeah.
Again, I think if it went for the 10 actual best boxers in Australia, I think he would be in there. But he's had 5 fights, so it's pretty tough to rank him. And no doubt he'll be in the top probably 3 or 4 at some stage. What I want to do before we move on, Tazzie, our friends over at Oz Boxing did a top 10 as well at the end of December. And I want to just put it up now just to compare the two. Now, I just want to get your feedback a little bit. I've obviously gone over my reasons for what I've done for the top 10. I just want to draw your attention to the Oz Boxing one. You see the top 6 are the same, and 8 and 9, different order, but throw a blanket over both of them. 8 and 9, that's the way it is. Brock Jarvis, again, I wouldn't argue with it, but as I took it out. The one that surprised me, though, was Wade Ryan. And I got so much respect for Wade, but do you think he's in our top 10 pound-for-pound boxers in Australia?
Mate, look, I'm a massive fan of him and what he's done, but nah, probably not yet.
This is nothing against Wade, by the way, because he's had a great year and he's a great guy and we're fans. Look, but we're talking about the 10 best fighters in Australia.
I mean, look, he's you know, he hasn't beaten probably top guys. I mean, you know, the guys he's beat were okay, but they're not at that elite level. If you're talking the top 10, pound for pound, I don't think he makes it. I know why he's in there, though, because I know the connection between, Oz Boxing and No Limit, which is, they do great work together. But, no, I don't. I'm one of Wade's biggest fans, and Luke Wood's two guys that have just come out of nowhere and are fighting everyone. But, no, I don't think. If you're talking top 10, you've got to get real gritty, and you've got to be a bit, take your blinkers off, take probably your heart out, and you just got to be straight down the line. And, I mean, you're talking the whole of Australia. I don't think he sort of makes...
Yeah, look, as I said, nothing against Wade. We're just sort of discussing it. Like, I think he had a great year. He's improved so much. He could probably be, the comeback fighter of the year along with your mate Luke Woods. But I just think the top 10 of Australian boxing, I've always looked at that all 10 of them should be in line at some stage or capable of fighting for a world title.
Well, Lyndon, I mean, look, if you're talking pound for pound, that's what you're talking that pound for pound, aren't you?
Yeah, pound for pound.
Well, if you're talking the world pound for pound, you're talking Canelo.
No, not that. I'm talking about the Australian top 10 being capable at some stage of fighting for a world title.
No, but what I'm saying, pound for pound, you got to talk about in that like that though.
Yep.
Like George is number 1 because he's got the belts.
Yep.
Tim's number 2 because he's destroyed some big names. You know what I mean? So it's all about activity and the height you're fighting. That's what I mean. So Wade doesn't make it, but you're pretty close. I mean, look at not much difference there.
The other one, though, I suppose I did probably take exception to was the Shannon O'Connell one. Now, I don't know, unless there's a female top 10, of which, Beck Hawker will probably be number 2 behind Shannon O'Connell, I think. But Shannon's won, I think, 6 or 7 fights in a row. 5 or 6 of those have been against undefeated Aussies who are all at the top of the game. I think Shanika Johnston's actually fighting for a world title in April on the Zarafa Hardman card. She beat her in her last fight. And she's just had a phenomenal period of fights. So I can't see how you would not have Shannon O'Connell in the pound for pound. She could fight for a world title any old day. And the fact that she's with No Limit now, the odds are that's going to happen. But do you agree, or am I know I'm a little bit biased because I've got an association with Shannon in the past, being her promoter, but I can't see how Shannon O'Connell in the pound for pound rankings of Oz boxing would not be in there.
I don't disagree at all. If it's an even playing field of men and women, you got to put her in because she's just what she's been doing lately is unbelievable, mate. She's she's the GOAT, you know what I mean? So
world ranked across the board. She's got a
Look, unless there's a separate men and women, which I don't know if there is or not.
Knows?
You gotta have her in, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I said, I think Hardman and McKeon, whatever, you could alternate them. Farris Chevalier, you could probably make the case for another 5 fighters after him to take his spot. But the Shannon O'Connell one was the thing that really sort of stood out. But apart from that, you can see pretty much 8 of the top 10 are pretty much the same. So great minds obviously think alike here at Deep Dive and Oz Boxing. But I just thought it was worth just having a quick discussion about. And again, no disrespect to Wade Ryan. He's a great Aussie boxer. I just thought maybe Shannon O'Connor might have got the nod. But anyway, we'll move on. Just interested in your thoughts. And if anyone's watching out there, feel free to let us know any alterations that you guys would have made. Mate, we'll get on to the world news. Not much actually happening at the moment. A lot of maybe rumours, but one thing that caught my eye this week was Joshua and Usyk looks like it's been scheduled for April, according to Eddie Hearn. So do you think it's a good move for that, or do you preferred maybe Joshua to step aside so that Usyk could fight Fury and then Joshua could maybe fight the winner? What do you think?
No, I think he deserves the right to have a rematch, and
Yep.
everyone's dream is still AJ and Fury. So for him to do that, he's got to beat Usyk, mate. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
No, it certainly will. Yeah, we'll wait for more news on that. But April is looking like the date. Probably no doubt in England again because that's where all the money is. But yeah, be interesting to see. And I mean, early thoughts, mate. What do you think? Same result, or do you think Joshua can turn it around?
I did think Joshua could, because I tipped Usyk originally.
Yeah.
The rematch,
I remember that. You did too.
I was thinking Joshua can turn it around. And I might, when is it again?
April at this stage.
So, look, I'm going to leave my pick till then. I don't like what I'm seeing at the moment, training with all different trainers and hang around Florida in Dubai. I don't really see that as, I don't think that's good. So, at the moment, I'm sticking with Usyk, but I will make my full decision closer.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no doubt we'll discuss it numerous times leading up to it. But, yeah, just as I said...
But he's running around every gym in the world at the moment.
Yeah, he is. And making sure he's seen all over the place. So, yeah, but one to look forward to anyway. Like, there's a lot going on. As I said, we'll touch on more fights as they get announced. So, one thing I've been really looking forward to tonight, I must say, in this episode, is our next segment, and it is Tazzie's Tirade. Now, I'm going to shoot in beside you here, mate, but I know what you're going to talk about. 100% agree. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so what I want to talk about is the Herald Sun 2021 Moment of the Year in sport. And they gave it to the Australian Boomers who got bronze. So, good effort by them, but they're a bunch of multi-millionaire basketball players and they got bronze. They didn't win. Not one mention of George Gambosis, who went over to America, to Madison Square Garden, fought one of the top pound-for-pound guys, undisputed champion, Teofimo Lopez, and he pulled it off. He won, brought back all the belts,
Five belts,
Lopez look stupid. Fought over in his backyard. Literally, he lived 2 minutes from the venue, Lopez. After all the drama of being postponed by Thriller, coming back and forth, missing his grandfather's funeral, missing the birth of one of his children, he pulled it off and done it in style. Was on Joe Rogan, was on everywhere. And it doesn't get acknowledgement for what he done. It just shows, and I keep telling you, Lyndon, boxing's not popular in Australia. The mainstream media make and break fighters they want to get behind. But it's basketball, it's football, it's rugby, it's netball, it's whatever. It's clay shooting. It's not boxing.
Yep.
That's why George's not going to get 80,000. I don't care what anyone says.
Yep.
But he deserved it. And Harry Garside, our first medalist at the Olympics in boxing in 30 years, got bronze. He did, where was his mention? I mean, it's actually disgraceful. They give it to a bunch of rich basketballers that got bronze. They didn't win gold, they got bronze. So,
Yeah.
look, as I said, the media, I don't know if they don't like boxing or they pick and choose they want to support. It's just disgraceful that boxing in Australia doesn't get the mainstream attention. So, yeah, so the Herald Sun and all the judges on that panel, fuck you.
Yeah.
George Gambosis, it was definitely the best sporting
moment, I think,
by
was
an
the...
Australian
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
By far.
Well, let me just go through a couple of the ones that, surprisingly, Fury and Wilder 3 was in there. Now that was actually a good moment, but moment of Australian sport. How's it a moment for Australian sport? Or maybe it was.
They probably that dumb. They probably think Fury's Australian.
Yeah, probably. So we've got the Aussie T20 win. Okay, the Swifts win the All New South Wales Grand Final. I suppose that's good. Alcott's Grand Slam. Yep. State of Origin. Jess Fox's epic win. Yep. Barty wins Wimbledon. Grand Final for the Demons. Okay. These are the ones to get. Stark's first ball. Now, I don't know what Stark's first ball was. I'm not a cricketer. What was so significant about that? What did he do? Get a wicket?
Unbelievable. Stark's
first ball. The other one was Brady wins the Super Bowl. Titmus versus Ledecky. I don't really know who that is. You'll love this one. The wild end to the Formula One season. How is that a great moment in sport?
And no mention of Harry Garside.
No. And the other one here, the Kerr versus Pitch Invader. Now, you remember that when the Pitch Invader come out and what's her name? Is it Samantha Kerr or whatever her name is? The soccer player gave him a hip and shoulder. That was a bigger moment than George Cambosa's Tazzie.
It's just a joke, mate. As I said, I'm moving to Russia soon because Australia is a pathetic country full of fuckwits.
Yeah, I just don't get it. But the fact that as Australians we are making a team that came third, I will say, not first, they came third. We are celebrating that as our greatest Aussie moment of the year. Good luck to the Boomers. It was a great effort, but the greatest moment of the year becoming third. Come on, Australia. We can do better than that, especially when we got our man George Cambosis, who pulled off one of the biggest events in sporting history in this country.
And as I said, Harry Garside deserves
Harry Garside, yep. So many great sporting. I know it's a little bit hard. I've got a feeling the guy that did it. And one thing I'll say to the people out there, you've seen the article, jump on the Herald Sun Facebook page, I think it's on, and read the comments. There's about 1,000 comments, and I reckon 999 of them having a go at him about not putting George Cambosis in. So check it out. It's good to see that we're not all idiots, Tazzie. That we're out there, but it's the people actually running the show at these bloody media places that are making us a joke.
There's only 10% of normal people, mate. Trust me.
Yeah, but anyway, so Herald Sun, shame on you. And the other thing, Fox Sports, shame on you. I'm rapt that we got to watch it on DAZN for $3 or whatever it is, but the fact it wasn't on main event, I know we've covered this in previous episodes, but come on, what is going on here? All right, mate, well, we've had a bit of a crack at that. Now we're on to the more important stuff and the talking points. This is where we've got 5 other things to have a whinge about. So here it is, our talking points, 5 different points to talk about and get into. Mate, obviously that was the main one that's been on our minds for the last couple of weeks. I still can't get over the fact, and even George Cambosis commented on the post, by the way, and I think he had thousands of people that are liking, sharing, and commenting on it. Anyway, but enough of that. And by the way, George, we love you, and you were the best event of the year. Let's go on to the first one, Tazzie, and it's about George Cambosis. You just mentioned it before. 80,000 for a Cambosis fight in Australia is a pipe dream.
Yeah, mate, it's not being negative.
No,
it's not
nothing to do with George. It's the Australian public.
Anyone down? I'm not. It's just I don't see how it happens. As I said, yes, he done an amazing job. One of the top boxing achievements in history in Australia. Yes, I know there's a big Greek community in Melbourne and probably even Sydney, and he's Greek. And he's very proud of his roots. So, but look, 80,000, mate, no way.
Not going to happen.
I mean,
no.
Look, Jeff Fennick at his peak after he got robbed against Zuma Nelson, come back in the rematch. I think they got 38 or 40, right?
Yeah, 38 it was.
Danny Green and Mundine, the biggest rivalry. It's similar for 5 years up in Sydney at one of the footy grounds. I think they got mid-40s, high 40s. Horn Pacquiao, Manny Pacquiao's massive name and Hall of Famer and one of the greatest ever 8 Division World Champion. I think they got maybe 50, but 80, that's another 30,000. I mean, I just don't see it happening. No. I hope they do.
Yeah.
I really hope they do, but I'm a realist, mate, and I'm a promoter. You're a promoter.
Yep.
It's easy to rule off numbers off your tongue. It's different actually getting those numbers.
Yeah.
I can go back to Tazzie and say I'm going to get 5,000. I'm going to work hard to get 1,200 people.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. And look, not to say the event doesn't deserve 80,000, it certainly does. But
I'll tell you now, Lyndon, Michael Jackson would have to come back reincarnated and do a special halftime, dance and sing if they're going to get 80,000.
Yeah, and have Metallica or someone on there as well, I reckon. But look, I agree, mate. And as I said, it deserves 80,000, but I just think, in those fights you mentioned, Fenech, who was an absolute household name at the time, everyone knew Jeff Fenech. He packed out pubs and clubs and probably the most popular Australian boxer ever, and only got 38,000 for a massive, well-publicised rematch with Nelson. And then the Green Mundine fight, which is probably the biggest all-Australian fight of all time, could only get, mid-40s. So, yeah, I realistically, mate, let's say it's in Melbourne where there's a massive Greek population. What do you think is more realistic?
Yeah, look, I think in Melbourne at a stadium against a Devon Haney or a what's the other guy they're
Davis,
talking about?
Or Lomachenko.
No, Davis won't come. Lomachenko or Haney, they're the only two realistic ones, right?
Yeah.
Get rid of everyone else.
Yeah.
Garcia's not ready yet. And Floyd keeps his money machine in Vegas.
Yeah.
I think, so Lomachenko will be huge. Haney will be big. Loma's the biggest.
Yep.
Mate, he'll probably get 30. They might get 40.
Yeah, I'm a little bit different. I think, realistically, and I hate to say it, I think 25. That's all, maybe 30. High 20s maybe. 25 to 30, that's...
Yeah, 30.
Which is a disgrace. It really is. But anyway, we're just going on precedent, I suppose, and I just can't see...
30s, 50 off what they're saying, mate. So
yeah, it's a big... maybe the pay-per-view might subsidise a little bit, who knows, but I think the live gate, if it's in Melbourne, will be maybe 30. In Sydney, I think that would be 20, to be honest. But anyway...
Yeah, it's got to... Melbourne would be the biggest...
Well, it makes sense. It just makes sense. Well, Eddie Hearn's obviously looking to come and he'll probably promote it. We've got a little bit about him in a sec here, but we'll go on to number 2. Zerafa Hardman is the biggest domestic fight of 2022. Is there any others that can top it? We've got one obviously happening in March, but do you see any other domestic fights out there that might happen that'll be bigger than Zerafa Hardman?
I'll tell you what I got more interest in is Paul Fleming versus Billy Dib.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Because they're both teammates, and that's big.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, this one will obviously get more publicity, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
It probably is the biggest, given
at
they're
this
both
stage.
Very good fighters and a lot of hype. So yeah, probably is the biggest.
Yeah. Well, like anything, there's bound to be another couple of big fights that'll pop up along the way. But I just wanted to see whether there was any fights on the horizon that may happen. That might be bigger. But anyway, we'll go to number 3. And this is, again, about Matchroom. The Australian boxing scene is too small for Matchroom. Now, I'll elaborate there. You've got, probably on the top shelf, you've got No Limit. Probably beside it, or maybe the next shelf down would be D&L. And under that, you've probably got Tasman Fighters and now Wild Fighter, who are going to be doing the MBS on Fox as well. And then you've got all the local promoters. So with all that happening, do you see there's room... Now they've got 5 fighters on the roster, if you include Cambosis. Do you think there's room for Matchroom to come in and take on the No Limits and D&Ls of the world?
It's not about taking on people, but I just don't think the depth's here enough.
That's what I was saying, is the depth here.
And the interest for someone like Hearn.
Or the money. That's the thing, that's what I was probably going to say as well, is the Australian boxing scene big enough for Matchroom to come in?
Tell them to come down for a show first and watch an average show. A shitty little crowd somewhere.
Yeah.
It's... Mate, Australia's not... Nah, look, it'll come down and have a look, mate, and have a bit of a play, but it's not... Mate, over there, they pack out stadiums. Even guys that aren't the greatest fighters pack out stadiums. The Pommies support everything.
Yeah, they do.
Look, Australian boxing, as I keep saying, it's not strong here. It's not that great.
Yeah.
It's very average.
I think what'll happen is
very
that...
average.
I think what'll happen is that Matchroom will come and promote the Cambosis fight. He'll put Sky Nicholson, Ebony Bridges, Dempsey McKeon, and Brock Jarvis on the undercard. So there'll be a nice, good, strong undercard on there. and maybe with a couple of others, and it'll probably be a massive success and it'll be great. Then they'll probably try and duplicate it at the next one, and the crowd obviously won't be there, the interest will be there, and you'll say, hey, stuff this, I'm going back to England where I'm just guaranteed to make good coin every single time. Cause
or he goes to America now too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's already owns England, doesn't he? So it'll be America next. So talking point number 4, mate. The Gallen event shows that boxing in Australia is pretty much irrelevant to most people. What do you think?
Yeah, look.
What I mean by that too, Tazzie, the Gallen event was obviously big. It was the night before that was, a couple of hundred people there, which is just mind-boggling for Andy Maloney. But does it show that boxing, and you talk about it all the time, boxing's just not big enough in Australia, and it's almost not as relevant as what we thought?
Unless you're a household name, and you don't have to be a good boxer to be a household name, they don't care, mate. Like, the Maloney boys and that, who are great fighters, but, not maybe 7 out of 10 blokes at a pub probably don't know them, mate. Like, unless you're a real boxing fan.
Yeah.
They know Mundine's name. They know Gallen's name. They know,
Zoo.
They know, they knew Jeff Fennick or something. They knew Costa Zoo.
Team Zoo.
But, I mean, not many know. They don't, like, even there's still going to be people that don't know who Gambosis is.
Yeah.
Like, as I said, boxing's not a mainstream sport, and it never will be.
Oh, well, I was shocked that, I know it's Christmas week, and I know the Gallen fight was the one they were all looking at, but I was shocked to watch on Fox Sports.
I'm not shocked.
To watch it.
Shocked.
Well, I would have expected more than a couple of hundred people. I just would have,
Lyndon, I know what I do to try and get a little crowd to my shows, mate. Is 500,000 people in Tazzie, and I work my ass off and pump it in the media, and the biggest show I've had was probably about 1,800. I average around 12 to 1,500.
Yeah.
But I mean that's with mainstream media every day. Mate, it's not a big thing, boxing.
No, people just don't seem to care. And as I said, you weren't shocked, but I was just surprised to look at it and go, holy shit! You could hear the punches, and like you shouldn't be able to hear him like you could hear him, and they were echoing throughout
Lyndon,
venue.
you've been one of the best promoters in recent times in Australia. Do you just put the tickets on sale and just sit back and watch 5,000 people rock up to your fight night?
No, I don't. No, and you're right. Maybe because there didn't seem to be a lot of work in actually getting people to that event either. I must say, which is a very any
event you've done though. Do you just do you just sit back and think, okay, everyone's going to come to my fight night because they love boxing?
Yeah, no, you're right. And on that, it's a little bit off script here. I was talking to someone about it the other day when it comes to when you put on a boxing event, take the Tazzie ones away because that's a little bit like when I do the ones in Bendigo or wherever. You've got a bit of a pull there and a bit of support base. When I've done the ones in Melbourne and going to other shows in Melbourne, now take away the fighters' family and friends. What percentage do you think actually go because they're fight fans to watch the fight? I would think it's about 3%, if that.
Yeah, what 100 people or
no? If there's 1,000 people there. At a show in Melbourne, say, I reckon take out the family and friends of the fighters. I reckon there'd struggle to be 20 or 30 people there that are just fight fans who've just gone there to watch a good night of boxing.
Which is the opposite of what it was back in the old days.
Yeah. Yep.
People used to just go to the boxing that were die-hard fans.
Yep.
Now, like you said, if you take away the ticket sellers to family and friends, you've got no one. 20
or 30 people. Now, just on that, our good mate, Uncle Ronnie Picken, and he just celebrated his 80th birthday, by the way, so happy birthday to you, Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie, happy birthday, mate.
Embarrass him even more. But he was from the era where it was Festival Hall every Friday night or Monday night, whatever it was, every week. And this is the days before probably even TV and obviously social media and the internet and that sort of stuff. Every fight night was packed to the brim with fight fans. It was the in thing to go and watch the fights. Everyone was there. It was just a little, probably snippet. It was all over the newspapers and that sort of stuff. But every show was always packed with no real advertising whatsoever. So work that one out.
Can you imagine a time, Lyndon, where you didn't have to get fighters to sell tickets as a promoter.
Yeah. I'm with you, mate. And you're obviously a promoter like I have been, but there's nothing worse than actually saying to fighters, you got to sell. It's not because we're lazy or want them, we just want them to do all the work. It's because if they don't sell tickets, there's no show. It's as simple as that.
Do you know there was a time before I knew to do that?
Well, you just put the show on and expected people to turn up.
Yeah, I put Daniel Gill on when Daniel only had about 6 pro fights, and I paid him $10,000, and I didn't ask him to sell one ticket.
How'd you go with crowd wise?
I didn't know then what I know now. I was still getting good crowds back then, but I was very much hands on back then and really around in your face. But yeah, now I'd never do a show. Well, actually, I've got a lot of my fighters. They've got a limit. They've got a limit of what they've got to sell to be on the show.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's the trend with most promoters out there now.
Well, it is.
And the fighters sometimes think it's the bad old promoters that are greedy and lazy and can't be bothered. But I'm telling you, if you're a fighter watching this, it's not us. We're trying our best to promote it, but unfortunately, if you guys don't sell tickets, then we're out of business. So
well, if we don't do what we do, they don't fight pretty much.
Yeah.
Or they get put on a show as the B side and get killed.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what happens with Tasmanians usually.
Yeah. No,
I
you're
don't
right.
let it happen.
Yeah. No, I hear you, mate. Well, let's go on to the last one as our last talking point of the night. And I'll explain this one. A football event's really beneficial to Australian boxing. Now, we all talk about it's great to have the footy players on. They get the pay-per-view and we put the good fighters on underneath. My argument is I think it's almost detrimental. I think it's good for the guys that are making the money and all the rest of the footy players make good coin, the promoters make good coin. But I would challenge the people that are out there buying these pay-per-views to even remember the actual boxers that were on the card. And I know they say it's good exposure to them. I don't think it's the case. I really don't. I don't think, as I said, most people that are buying it to watch, say, Paul Gallen fight against another rugby player would remember that Harry Garside or Sam Goodman were even on the show. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree with you. Probably, yeah. Look, it's...
They'd remember, there was some Olympian guy on there and some young kid that would look really good. I don't think they'd say, this Sam Goodman, mate, he's one to watch. I just don't see it. Because it's that market that have bought it, like we said before. They're the ones that frustrate us because they're not real boxing fans, and that's probably not what they're after. They're after those rugby fans. So I'm for one that would say I'm a No Limit, and again, they're doing an unbelievable job. Take the hat off to them, but I would almost try and separate the footy shows from that and try and build them on. And I know they do a great job with the Tim Zoo ones, but forget putting the Sam Goodmans and that and Liam Wilson's on the footy fight and Harry Garside's on the footy shows. Get them on the Tim Zoo undercard and try and build their own brand. What do you think?
Mate, how it used to annoy me when I'd be in Tasmania and there might have been a fight on in the weekend in America and just say it was a Floyd or a Canelo, and they go, I brought the fight and I watched it, I paid $60. I'm like, yeah, you coming to my show next week, in Hobart? No, I don't know. I'm not sure. So they're there going, they like boxing, they just paid money to watch some people that don't know.
Yeah.
But then when I say, you're going to come to my show, then I know for a fact they don't come.
Yeah.
So, that's what I mean. I watch something, and a lot of people I know buy all the MMA pay-per-views in America. Because to me, that's a certain type of person.
Yeah.
Again, it's not a boxing person. You can have, some people are both.
Yeah.
But not really. I think.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Look, Lyndon, I'm not saying give up, but I'm saying I haven't got much hope for the Australian public when it comes to Australian boxing.
Yeah, and it's a real shame, isn't it? Because we've got some really good young up-and-coming fighters out there. And like you said earlier, the English boxing market, they love the up-and-comers. They get to them. They don't have to be a massive name or a great fighter to get massive crowds. And, it's on TV over there. And
all you got to do is support the local soccer team.
Yeah.
And you'll get bloody 20,000 people watching them. And it's just different. Look.
Yeah.
And as I said, generations have dropped down. Men used to like fighting more back the generation before us and my dad's, like your dad and my dad's generation, our generation. Men used to like fighting. So men are more fighters, even if they're not fighters themselves. They like to watch fighting. The generation now are really non-fighting people, and they're very feminine-like. So going to the boxing for them is not really an option. So as I say, Lyndon, I tell people all the time, and I'm not being negative, the Australian male has deteriorated so much in generations, and that's why now we're all wearing masks and running and buying toilet paper from the supermarket in droves because we're that scared and frightened. And the Australian male now is actually weak as piss.
Yeah, it's certainly not the same. Well, no matter what's happened either way, they might be into different sports, but the boxing side of things, I don't think, it's... There's always those one-off events, of course, that come every now and then, the Danny Green, Anthony Mundine, or Lester Ellis, Barry Michael, those types of fights, or the Jeff Horn, Pacquiao. But, yeah, they're a bit few and far between. But as I said, I just don't see the benefits of these football fights to Australian boxing. I really don't. I just don't see how it benefits the Aussie boxers. And as I said at the start, yeah, they're getting massive exposure. They're on the pay-per-view and they're getting exposed to all Australia. Mate, they're not, because no one remembers who they were at 5 minutes after the show ended. So I don't see the benefit in it at all. Just my opinion. But it's worth discussing. And it's interesting just discussing it with you and not having Peter throw in his 2 cents as well. So not as fun.
Yeah, it seems to be going pretty smoothly about the young Peter.
Yeah, it's he's always got the different opinion. There's no doubt about that. So, but all good, mate. Well, we'll leave it there anyway. Some really good points to discuss tonight. Thanks again to Billy Dib for being on. Apologies for the technical issues that we had, but I think we managed to pull it off, mate. And great to be back for 2022, and really looking forward to the rest of the year. So it's going to be a big one.
And we've got a special guest on Tuesday night as well.
Yep.
And I won't give it away. I'll just say he fought for 2 world titles and he knocked down a future Hall of Fame legend of boxing.
Yeah, and because Peter's obviously away and Mike's still away, so we've got a special guest for our classic fights and dream fights next week. So really looking forward to that.
Has Mike done the rain dance yet? Has he in Kenya?
No, I haven't heard from Mike. I don't know if you've spoken to him, but I haven't. But
I'll message him on Instagram.
All right, well, Mike, if you're watching, make sure you get those feet moving, mate. A bit more of the Ali shuffle type of movement, and
Mike.
And look forward to having him back. And Peter.
Mike, Boombaye.
All right, Tazzie, thanks again, mate, for being here tonight, and look forward to seeing you next week, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Lyndon.
See you, mate.